I am lucky enough to be, standing here on the red carpet with co-creators, dual creators, Micheal Heagle and Gordon Smuder.
There you go.
Did I get it?
You got it.
I got it correctly. Good, good, good. The co-creators of Transylvania TV, which is a modern, adult-themed, adult-audienced,
Puppet
filmed
comedy.
puppet comedy.
Yes.
Tell us more.
Well, that's a hard thing to do because puppets in the U.S. are considered to be for kids pretty exclusively. And we're not kids anymore, at least on the outside. I think I'm like stuck at 12. How about, what age are you stuck at?
About 16.
15. Okay, so
I bet that fits in perfectly for what you're doing.
it
though.
does a little bit, and you also need that kind of energy and that kind of ignorance, and to be able to continue to do something that's
In
for as long as we
abundance.
have. Yes.
In abundance.
And you've been at this for quite a few years working together. Transylvania TV, the genesis was years ago, am I right?
Yeah, this is about 7 years old now,
Okay.
and it started first as a pitch for a TV pilot. Then we did a lot of web episodes, and we finally said, you know, let's do something that's the cumulative work of all of this stuff. Let's build it into one big thing. I want to make a movie, and I'm a movie maker, so for me that was the most important thing. And so we decided to do something kind of like a long TV hour that is a send-up of all the great 80s comedies and 80s horror stuff that I grew up on that got me into it, but also at the same time honors the puppet stuff that we both grew up on, all the way back to HR Puffin stuff, through the Muppets and beyond.
Okay, a couple interesting conversation points here. You reference the 80s and 80s themes and things like that. You use modern storylines, but you reference back to the 80s, things that influenced you. Is that right?
Yeah, and what we consciously avoided doing was making very contemporary jokes. I wanted it to seem like something that was made a long time ago, but also then that would live on as a TV perennial in the same way that Here's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown does, that there's nothing in there that particularly says that's from 1967.
Right.
But for this, we avoided cell phones, kind of. We avoided computers, and we just made it feel like the kinds of things that that get me excited about the classic 80s junky comedy stuff, like Ghostbusters and so on.
Talk about the technical aspect of what a very specific skill it is to doing puppeteering.
Right.
It's not just a hand in a puppet's back with a voice going, right? Tell me more.
Well, you're not just wiggling at all.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you're doing puppetry for television or for film, you're watching your performance live on a monitor. You can't see over your head, so you have to watch what the camera is seeing through the monitor. And when you do that, it's backwards. So it's like I tell people, it's like backing your tractor trailer truck down a long, windy driveway using only your rear view mirrors. And it's difficult. It's a
What an
skill.
analogy.
It's a learned skill.
If you had to hold that truck up with your hand.
Yes.
Yes, because that's the missing thing, which is gravity doesn't happen to actors. Actors don't do this slowly over the course of the take, but puppets do.
Yeah.
Actors don't fail to look at the other actors because they don't actually have any eyeballs. But, so these are things that we have to learn to conquer and to work on a set that's, 3 feet over the normal height. Yeah, there's a school of puppetry where you kneel on the floor and you move around, and that's great for the camera people, but the camera people were the minority for our show, so we said, okay, you guys, we'll put you on platforms, we'll raise you up to our level, to guys holding puppets level.
Wasn't it Mr. Spock who said the needs of the movie outweigh the needs of the crew?
Yes, I think, or Kirk, maybe.
How did you, and I've seen some episodes and they're incredible. How did you go about assembling a cast? How did you find these people that you needed who ended up being so talented? Either one of you.
You can train people to be puppeteers, but you really can't train people to be good actors, I think. I think that's something that is a long thing, a long process. So we didn't look for puppet people, we looked for actors.
And thank you so much.